There we go.
Oopsie.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hi everybody, I'm Terry from Spinal Cord Injury BC. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sorry, my son is here and is being very distracting, and I'm very tempted to send him home or send him to school right about now because he's not supposed to be here. Anyways, just so you all know, in case you didn't hear earlier, I have everybody on mute just so we can not have too much background noise and people talking over each other. There is a chat box, should be a chat box there. You can type in anything that you want to type in there. You could just raise your hand or whatever, and I can unmute you. If I unmute you all, it gets a little bit distorted and it's hard to hear. So Jaisa is going to she's actually joining us from Toronto right now. She'll introduce herself, but she obviously is our expert today on mindfulness. And in answer to your question, Sarah, I'll be sending it out. If you could all see the questions. She was asking about the recording. I'll be sending out the link probably next month in the newsletter that I send you guys. So, yeah, anyways, so Jaisa's going to share with us her mindfulness technique, and it is going to be interactive. So that means after every slide, you will have the option to be able to share your opinions if you choose to do so. And I hope that you do participate because that's how you'll get the most out of it. But please feel free to not if you don't want to. So it's up to you. I will give it over to Jaisa, and you're up.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for gathering together today. It still boggles my mind that I'm in Toronto, and I think most of you are in BC, but we can connect like this. So I'm grateful for technology. Now, how did I get here to be in liaison with all of you? Well, I actually moved to Vancouver in 2015, and so I became a member of SCIBC, and I lived there in Vancouver for 2 years. And the reason why I left Toronto to be in Vancouver for 2 years was to slow down. I was living too fast in Vancouver, and my recovery had slowed down, so I really wanted to connect with the ocean and the mountains and the forest and see how that would help with my spinal cord recovery. And it did. So now I'm back in Toronto learning to connect with nature here and live more slowly. My spinal cord injury I sustained in 2010 from a motorcycle accident. It was a burst fracture T12 with 60% compression, so incomplete paralysis. But the accident happened in 2010, but in 2004, I became an occupational therapist working with people with stroke. So I had maybe about 5-6 years of working with other people who had brain injury that affected the rest of their body. So I had some knowledge on neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity, so our body's ability to rewire over time, is what really made me passionate about mindfulness, because with mindfulness we can change our brains. So how did I discover mindfulness? Well, a year after my accident, so 2011, that's when I really started to fall into depression, really having to come to terms with life with a disability and chronic pain. And as we all know already, I don't have to go into that, I was having a lot of depression and anxiety. And so I signed up for a 8-week mindfulness course called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. And it really helped with my recovery. It helped with my ability to cope with stress and pain. And I loved that 8-week mindfulness course so much. I went on to get trained. So I went to the University of Massachusetts, where that 8-week course was created. And so since then, since 2012, I've been teaching mindfulness. And so I've returned to work as an occupational therapist, but all I do as a therapist is teach mindfulness, whether it's for physical pain or our emotional pains. And it continues to help me with my recovery. And I see how it helps not just my fellow patients, but my fellow therapists as well, because patient or therapist doesn't matter. We're all human and we all have stress and pain. So what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is actually the same exact PowerPoint presentation that myself and Karen Anzai, if any of you were an inpatient or outpatient at GF Strong, Karen Anzai was leading the patient education program. And just starting this summer, her and I worked together to bring GF Strong's first intro to mindfulness workshop. So it was just an hour at lunch, and then patients and families and staff could come and take this intro course. So I don't know if anybody here has already come to that workshop at GF Strong. If so, hopefully you can bring beginner's mind and learn something new today. But for those who this is the first time, I hope you will enjoy this. Are we ready to begin? Okay. So I am going to be sharing my screen. So I won't be able to see all of your lovely faces, which I wish I could, because it's great to be able to see your faces. But the way it works on this application is when I show my PowerPoint slides, I'm only going to be seeing my slides. So Terry, I'll ask you to unmute yourself whenever there is a question that I will need to attend to. So here we go. Okay. So let's begin. So today, this is just I just want to make sure, Terry, is everything okay? You can see my slides?
I can now, yep. Can everybody see your slides? Just nod your head. Yep, awesome. Okay.
Okay, great.
Just so you know that sorry, Jaisa, we do have some people on the phone, so they won't be able to share your slides. So just make sure maybe you could describe them. Would probably be for the people on the phone. Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder. So there's just 5 objectives for today's session. First, to just increase our understanding of mindfulness. Even if we already know a bit, we can always deepen our understanding of it. 2 is we'll actually experience a mindful practice later on. Then we'll go over the benefits and the science of mindfulness. And finally, I'll be sending Terry several Word documents with resources and more information on mindfulness. Terry, if you don't mind, you can share that with those who are interested. So I would love first, and this is a time now for everybody, maybe the best way to do this is if you could write down, what is mindfulness to you? And you could take a look at this photo here where we've got this human being mindful, with his mind full of, looks like, many things on his mind, and his dog who is mindful in a different way. So I'd like to welcome at this time, because everybody here already knows mindfulness. You probably are just not using the term mindfulness as a label to describe mindfulness, but everyone here already knows what mindfulness is. So let's hear from each other the different words or sentences that come up for you with what is mindfulness to you.
Jaisa, do you want people to share that or?
Yes, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear what people have to say.
Okay, what I'll do is I will just call on people, if that's okay, and unmute you. And if you have something to say, that would be great. I'm not sure if I can hear everybody, but we will start. I'm not sure if Bev has a microphone, but Bev, if you say something, we might be able to hear you. Nope, maybe not. Let's try Sandy.
I'm not sure that I have an understanding of what mindfulness is.
Okay. No worries. That's why we're all here.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Thank you, though. Thank you for...
Klondike Heaven, would you like to say anything?
Sure. Mindfulness to me is actually both pictures on the screen there. And looking out at my world, I see what's going on, but also when I'm thinking about my own injury and what's happened as a result of that, or as I'm trying to get better, I actually try to get into my own mind and say to myself, fix this. This needs repair. Let's work on it. And so that's what I try to do. I don't know how well it works, but my recovery has been very, very good indeed, and I'm extremely lucky.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim T, would you like to add anything? I can't hear you, Jim, if you're talking, so feel free if anyone can't speak and you want to add something, just type it into the text box. Sarah.
I have a speech effect to my brain, so I may take a while to answer your question, but actually I am mindful most of the time because I can't think about anything except what is in front of me. So that's a good thing about my aneurysm, but there's some things that I get depressed by my inability to move and to do things that I want to do, but that I cannot do. And so there is some ways in which I feel that I could use mindfulness in a healing way, although it is a healing way in itself. I think there might be some ways in which I could use it more in a healing way.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah, thank you very much. And I believe Klondike earlier who had also shared.
Yeah.
I wanted to, jump off of what you both shared, and that's mindfulness. It's, being aware of where your mind is, but also being in the present moment. As Sarah said, just paying attention to what's in front of you. And you're right, Sarah, it is a way of being healing. And why it is a way of healing ourselves, as Sarah has mentioned, there is a sense of acceptance. Accepting, as Sarah has already demonstrated, accepting your pace of speaking. There's already an acceptance of it, but it forces you to be present with the moment, which is a lot easier when we're slowing down our lives. So in the present moment and aware with a sense of acceptance is what I'm hearing so far.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else who'd like to add to that? What is mindfulness? Even if it's one word.
There's a few more people, so I'm just going to go through them one by one here. Might take a little bit, sorry, Jaisa. But Michael?
No, this is great.
Michael, you're up. Do you have anything to add or ask or? Nope. He says, shakes his head, nope. Roderick.
Not sure I've got a lot to add. I think the picture pretty much says it, that the mindfulness is being present in the moment, with the doggy seeing just what's there. Not something I'm good at. I admit that I have way too many things influencing me, and multitasking is definitely a way of life. Yeah, so interested to see what the benefits, techniques of being able to shut that down to combat some of the issues that are difficult to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Kim.
Yeah, the picture on the left-hand side is perfect. That's me. I don't sleep, but sometimes I get from point A to point B, and I'm driving, and I have no idea how I got there because I'm thinking about a million things, and it affects my sleep, dream cycle, which of course affects when you don't get REM sleep and you're not sleeping. It affects pain. Affects everything. So I'm here hopefully to learn a little bit more on how to get more on the right-hand side, be more present.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kim. Who else do we have here? Michelle. Not sure. I can't actually hear you right now. For some reason, not hearing Michelle, so I'm just gonna try Maureen.
Hi. You know, I couldn't get here at the beginning. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say, why I'm interested in this.
Oh, what is mindfulness to you?
What is mindfulness to you?
Being conscious of what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
As the Buddhists say, eating when I'm eating, reading when I'm reading, brushing my teeth when I'm brushing my teeth. Paying attention.
Awesome. Thank you, Maureen. Ken, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, at present moment awareness, like everybody else has been saying, but in particular, it comes up for me is the breath and body sensations.
Awesome.
Yes. If everybody will take a moment right now to notice your breath, the sensation of your breath, feeling it in your body. The breath is always occurring in the present. As for sensations, so if you can see, whatever you're seeing is happening in the present. Whatever you're hearing right now, whether it's my voice or things in your house, sounds are always in the present. Or feeling, if you have feeling in your body and you can maybe feel your clothing on, sensation of touch also happening in the present moment. So that's what's great about bodily sensations, what you see, smell, taste. We can only taste the present, not the past or future. So thank you for reminding us, yes, it's about being in the present moment. And a way to be in the present is when we are aware of things that are occurring in the present moment, such as sensations and the breath. Are there any other comments to add to? We see clearly, there's a lot of us who already know mindfulness. And as we hear each other, we're probably realizing, oh, okay, I do know mindfulness. I just didn't know it could be called mindfulness, consciousness, awareness, presence. So yes, maybe we can, if there's anybody else, Terry?
We'll go to Karen.
Yeah, I think I'm just echoing what a lot of other people are saying, but mindfulness to me would just be engaged in the present.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Who have we not heard from yet? Daryl?
I don't think I can add anything to it at this point. Everybody's covered it off. So I'm here. The reason I'm here is to learn how to do what I know what we should be doing or what I should be doing. So I want to learn the hows today.
Awesome. Thanks, Daryl. Peter, anything to add?
One sec here.
Peter disappeared. I have someone on their iPhone. I'm going to unmute you. I don't know what the number is, and I don't know your name, but if you'd like to say something, you can.
Yes, hi, it's Leslie. And I don't have much to add to what everybody else is saying. Same thing, I know what we should be doing. I'm kind of trying to figure out the how.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think I will take this as a segue to continue on, Terry. It seems like I would like to give an opportunity for people to experience the how.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to move on here with the slide. So thank you, everyone. Is there anything else, Terry, you're going to say?
I was just going to, there's one other person on the phone. I'm just going to unmute them for a moment from a 250 number, and I just wanted to get their name. If they can, someone else is calling in from their phone.
Hello, it might be me.
Hi.
My name is Patty.
Hi, Patty. Nice to meet you.
Is anybody else phoning from 250?
Nope, you're the only one. So thank you for letting me know who you are.
Okay. What was that?
That's okay. We're just going to move on. I wanted to know who you are, and hopefully you can hear everything okay. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Jaisa, you're up. It's all right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. So I'm just going to share 3 different quotes because sometimes different definitions resonate with different people. So this one here is by Carla Naumburg, who says that mindfulness is about choosing to pay attention to the present moment with kindness and curiosity. So something I just want to point out here is the choosing. So there's always an intention, the conscious choice to pay attention, not just to the present moment, but with a particular attitude of kindness and curiosity. This other definition is paying attention, again, on purpose. So there is a conscious choice, an intention. So there's the paying attention on purpose to whatever is happening in the present moment, such as what we're seeing, hearing, feeling, but also paying attention to our thoughts and our emotions or feelings. And finally, this quote by John Kabat-Zinn, he says that mindfulness is a means of paying attention in a particular way. And what are these particular ways? We'll go over them later. But there's that, again, that on purpose, there's intention, choice to be in the moment, non-judgmentally. So of all the particular ways, patience, kindness, curiosity, beginner's mind, non-striving, trust, acceptance, in the world of mindfulness, I'm noticing that the most common way that various practitioners define the way, it's a way that's non-judgmental. Or in other words, it is what it is, or accepting. So here's another opportunity that I'd like to hear from everybody. When we're paying attention to the moment, let's say the moment is your breath, let's say in the moment you have pain that arises, or in the moment somebody cuts you off on the highway, or in the moment a thought arises that is very stressful, or in the moment a smell arises that's very unpleasant. To pay attention non-judgmentally, what does that mean when we're paying attention without judgment. We'll just maybe get a couple people here, maybe 2 or 3 people to share.
Okay, we'll start. If someone has something to say, can you raise your hand, maybe, so I can see you? And hold it up there, because I got to scroll through. Peter, way to come out. Hold on. Gonna unmute you. There we go.
I think I'm unmuted.
Okay, good.
Sorry, I was the 250 and I couldn't speak before. I guess for me, I would use the reference to kind of driving in the car and getting frustrated with people. It's more I try to acknowledge, because it can be frustrating, but I try to acknowledge that the intent was not against me necessarily personally. That people aren't necessarily trying to do anything to me, and to acknowledge that maybe it was just a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
you.
That's it. Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Let's see. Anybody else have something if they want to raise their hand? Michelle, let's see if I can hear you now. Michelle, I still can't hear you for some reason. I'm not sure if your audio is connected. If anyone also has something to say, there's a chat box. Should be a chat box to be able to type anything. I'm going to go to, hold on. Sarah, you're up.
I think we spend a lot of time going on assumptions about why a person is doing something bad to us, or assumptions. And assumptions is a judgment. And if I can always ask myself, what is the assumption here, and forget it, and then just go to what is happening, then I can get out of judgment quickly than the other way.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Terry. I think that is good enough that we can all get an understanding of judgment. So thank you for the sharings, everyone.
Jim did, let me just, read off what Jim said.
Thank you.
Accepting things the way they are not, what we wish they could be, try and live at peace. And Michelle said, I find people are just not aware of what a handicapped person deals with. So thank you, everybody.
Yes. And so thank you for helping us, each other, to remember non-judgment. And what everybody said, there is an acceptance. There's an awareness. With awareness, we're able to see when, there's an assumption here, and my assumptions are filtering our ability to experience reality as it really is. And so, as with the gentleman who talked about, when somebody cuts you off, instead of assuming that's being done to me personally and labeling it with our judgments as that's intentional against me, there's an awareness of watching our assumptions and meeting things as they are or as they are not. So there's a sense of acceptance here. So thank you. So one thing just to clarify, because a lot of people, even including myself when I first started, used to think that mindfulness was about not thinking. But no, mindfulness meditation is paying attention in that particular way, non-judgmentally, with curiosity, openness, kindness, and acceptance to whatever we're deciding to focus on, which include our breath, sensations, our thoughts, and our emotions, and those around us and what's happening in our environment. And so I'll take this moment to just remind everybody that there's many types of meditations out there. There's, transcendental meditation, relaxation meditation where you're visualizing yourself on a beach. But mindfulness meditation in particular is simply being aware of the present moment with non-judgment, with curious acceptance. There's no trying to relax. There's no trying to belly breathe. There's no striving to get somewhere. Mindfulness, whether you're meditating or walking or eating or mindful running or mindful rolling or mindful speaking, I think you get it. Mindfulness is just the practice of meeting the moment, whatever we're doing, meeting it as it is without trying to change things, even meeting our wandering mind, even meeting our anxiety, even meeting frustration, boredom, meeting our mind and body as it is with acceptance, or in other words, non-judgment. Is there any feedback on that? Any thoughts? Is it resonating with anybody? You can maybe just give you an opportunity for somebody to share if there's something that needs to be shared with everyone right now. If not, we'll move on.
See, who do we have? Anybody have any hands up? Some people don't have video on right now, so
Okay, well, people can use the chat if you just want to say anything. If not, just this is something that really, is not just me talking. This is something me just sharing a few things, facilitating the truth and wisdom that everybody already has within them. And that's why I like to give you the opportunity to share what's coming up for you, because we're really all just remembering what we already know.
Jaisa, I might just go to a couple of the phone. There's a couple phone people. So that was Patty. Do you have anything to say?
Were you asking, Patty?
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Not about mindfulness, but about how to get into them. I've got my iPad sitting in front of me.
Awesome.
And I can't. Yeah, but I can't. I'm talking on the telephone.
That's okay.
I don't know whether it's a toll-free number.
Okay, well, hold on. You go ahead, Jaisa, go ahead.
Okay. We will continue on here. Is that okay?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. So everybody is already kind of aware that mindfulness is about being in the present. And so we're going to get a chance in a few minutes to do a mindful meditation focusing on the breath. And because the mind will naturally wander. So one thing for sure is we can't force our minds to stop thinking. Mindfulness is just the practice of being aware of what we are thinking. And so I encourage you, as you move forward on from today, when you bring awareness to your thoughts, to notice, is my mind on future, planning, or worrying, or catastrophizing about the future? Or is your mind on the past, analyzing what I did, what he said, what I said, whether it was my life last year or 5 years ago, or what I looked like 10 years ago, or is the mind on the present? So this is what the practice of mindfulness can help us to become aware of, is the content of our mind, and if it's in future or past. And again, there's nothing wrong with a mind being the future or the past. It can only lead to our illness if we're not aware that our mind is maybe always in future and past, and maybe only a small percentage of the time in the present. So that being said, I'll get you guys to just reflect right now on your morning so far, and how much of your day so far, what percentage were you on autopilot? So I know for some of us, we have to be in the moment because of our state of living. We have to be in the moment. But for some of us, maybe most of the time we were just operating on autopilot, doing our regular mundane routine activities that we do every day on autopilot, whether it's eating or getting ready, putting our clothes on, making that coffee, or getting somewhere. So, were we on autopilot 50% of the time, or less or more? And again, and it's not about judging ourselves, it's about being aware of ourselves and being accepting of ourselves, but with awareness of how we are operating in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jaisa.
Now,
Jim says 70%.
Thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
I just
Anybody else sharing?
If it's okay, Jaisa, I just want to let Patty know, who was worried about the toll-free number, that thank you, Ken.
Yes.
You might have to download Zoom, which is an app, onto your iPad to use it. And then you just type in the meeting ID that I sent you in your email. So if you're concerned about that, then that would be the way to do it. Sorry, Kim also says 90 for her.
Yeah, and that's normal, everybody. Most of us, a lot of us tend to operate on autopilot majority of the time.
Mm-hmm. Just run through, see if anybody wants to say anything at this point. Peter, yeah, hold on, go.
Sure, I guess I'm not in the higher end of the percentage, just as I've put kind of a conscious effort into being more mindful. So I think for me, I've created my morning habits. I guess I probably run it maybe at 25-30%. This morning wasn't my norm because I had a bunch of chores that were out of the norm to do by getting my car from the repair place and so on. But for me, even making my coffee in the morning, I've turned it into something that I enjoy to do, and I take my time to do it. I don't rush through it. It's become a ritual for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And if I can comment on that, is it Peter, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to just comment on Peter is two things that stand out from his sharing. One is that when we're more present, then we can actually enjoy things. Often enjoyment comes from something that we're engaged in the moment. But also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but it seems like this is something you have worked on. So, you use the word become. So what I find from that is this validation that we can change our habits. So just as we learn to be on autopilot, we can unlearn autopilot and instead learn awareness, because the autopilot and awareness are just, opposites. It's kind of like flipping the switch. From the autopilot switch, all we need to do to switch off autopilot is step into being aware of the present, and we've disengaged autopilot mode.
Yeah, to answer your question, it is. I've been injured, I guess, 6 years, a little over 6 years, and my able-bodied life was definitely go to work, go do my sports, go do this, go do that, take care of the house. I've discovered that life with a disability requires a little more patience, a little more time. So in order to do that, I've put a lot of work into kind of changing my path and the way I'm programmed, I guess, to be a little more mindful of the things that I appreciate. There's always those things that are definitely going to be just autopilot and go through the day, but those things that I appreciate and I really enjoy. So when I'm having my coffee in the morning, I'm having my coffee because it is something I enjoy. It's not there just to wake me up and get me out of the house.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
A couple comments on the chat. So Roderick said, He's not so much on autopilot as multitasking, doing two things in the moment. So for example, flossing teeth while stretching hip abductors. Sarah said she's at 35%, but that's got to do with the aneurysm, which allows what is present to be more relevant. Lori says, I think I don't spend much time on autopilot right now, but my mind does wander a lot. Everything is so new in this condition. And then Ken says, when I'm feeling pain, it's harder to not be absorbed by paying attention to that and that only.
Yes, and a comment about the pain, that, you know, pain is so complex, and research does show that for those of us living with chronic pain over a period of time, there's something called pain attentional bias. So it's a learned pattern where, because something is painful, evolutionary, we're going to pay attention to this thing that appears as a threat to our body. So we learn to pay more attention. So there becomes a learned bias. But as we'll talk about later, just as this learned bias is learned, we can unlearn that by changing how we relate to pain, how we meet the pain. And the way we unlearn this pain bias is learning to have this accepting relationship with pain. So a lot of people say that mindfulness for chronic pain is very radical, because people will come to, you know, chronic pain groups to learn mindfulness so that we can learn to get rid of our pain. But then at the end of the workshop, we leave with the message that, oh, so mindfulness is about accepting my pain? I don't want to hear that. We don't want to accept our pain. So, but that's really what mindfulness is. It's accepting the pain, it's accepting the anxiety, it's accepting the emotional depressions, but it's in the accepting and being able to be with this discomfort, being able to be with it, that then puts our nervous system in parasympathetic mode, allowing us to then let go of it and be able to pay attention to other things in our lives, whether it's a sensation in another part of our body, or the breath, or someone we're looking at, or something we're watching, or whatever it is we're doing. So I just want to acknowledge that this is a radical way of relating to our pain, and it involves listening, looking, feeling, being with it, turning towards that which you would think we'd want to turn away from it, because society often just says, give yourself a painkiller, right? Just let's kill the pain. You know, that judgment, it's opposite of mindfulness, which is be with the pain. So this is quite radical.
Yeah, Ken would like to just add pain attentional bias. Good one. Looking forward to learning to accept pain.
Okay. Anybody else, Terry?
That's it so far that I see. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So mindfulness is knowing that thoughts are not facts. Don't believe everything you think. So, you know, we often are told through our lives, don't believe everything you read, don't believe everything you hear, don't believe everything you see. But it's not common for us to be taught or told, don't believe everything you think. Thoughts are not always facts. So I'm going to open up the floor for people to share, but just to stimulate conversation here. You know, all kinds of thoughts can come up in our lives, especially with pain. For myself, I've had thoughts of, when pain arises, I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse. My recovery is slowing down. Or I can't handle this. Or this is too much. Or life sucks. Or if it wasn't pain, if it was an emotional pain, you know, why am I here again? I'm worthless. I'm not getting better. So these are just examples of thoughts, which are not necessarily facts. And with mindfulness, bringing awareness to our thoughts, for example, if I meet myself mindfully, oh, that's a thought. That's a thought. Life sucks. That's a thought. So with awareness, there's this distancing, kind of like a stepping back. When you step back into the observer, when you observe the thoughts, when you become aware of the thoughts, you then are watching the head instead of being in the head. So often when we're in our heads, believing every thought, awareness takes us out of our head so that we can see, and there's this kind of separation so that we don't identify with the thoughts. And only from stepping back and watching our mind. So you can think of your mind and your thoughts as trains. So when you're in awareness, we are, sitting at the subway station, the SkyTrain station, or watching trains go by. And when we just watch our mind, we can see, okay, that thought is going to take me somewhere I don't want to go, or that thought will take me somewhere where I want to go. But if we're not aware, then next thing you know, oh my gosh, I've been on this thought for the last hour, not even knowing I was on the train. So with awareness, we can be aware, oh, I'm on this train. I've been on this train for 5 minutes now, and it's not taking me where I want to go. So I'm going to get off the train and come back to the present moment. So awareness helps us to see our thoughts so we can see more clearly if they really indeed are fact or not, reality or not. Anyone want to share what they're thinking about this?
There's a couple people. I might try to get them on so they can speak for themselves. Klondike Haven, you had a comment there. I don't know your name. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Stephen Johnson. I live in Dawson City.
Stephen, you were talking about during your rehab. Do you want to share that with Jaisa and the group?
Sure. I had a hard landing by paraglider, and I had a burst fracture of L1 that dented the spinal cord. I was taken to Whitehorse from Dawson City, and then from Whitehorse to Vancouver, where I was operated on within a couple of days. And then, thankfully, I was sent over to GF Strong, where I had 2 months of really good rehab. And during that time, I found that whenever I had pain, I figured, well, this is part of the whole deal. I'm recovering, I'm getting better, and I just think it's part of it, so I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to think of it in a positive way, that something's happening back at my backside, and it's all part of the recovery. So thinking of it in a positive sense definitely during that time, I don't know, I think it probably helped me to get up and going very, very quickly. As I say, I was extremely lucky, and I'm walking and talking and running and chewing gum at the same time now. So, I'm blessed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Stephen. Also, it seems like Lori. Where are you, Lori? Let me find you in just a second here. iPhone. Okay, Lori, would you like to share what you had?
Sorry, yeah, it's Leslie, not Lori.
What, Leslie? I mean, sorry, Leslie.
Yeah, no worries. No, I was saying that a lot of times when you have thoughts that go to those catastrophic, I'm getting worse, my rehab is taking backward steps, is to challenge those catastrophic thoughts with realistic ones to kind of counterbalance them at the time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I don't see anyone else right now. So you can continue on, Jaisa.
Okay. Yes, I appreciate that last comment, because as human beings, it's going to be quite natural and normal and common for us to get on trains that take us to the wrong place. But it's with awareness that we can always check in and rebalance those thoughts with more realistic and healthy thoughts that lead us towards wellness.
Mm-hmm. We do actually, have one more comment from Ken. I'm just going to find him and then unmute. Ken, you're up.
Hey, I was just commenting on the comment that was just made about the physio. So I have a progressive condition, hereditary spastic paraplegia. It's been gradually coming on for a couple of decades, and was referred for physio assistance near the beginning of that, and it never happened. I was constantly on a waiting list that I was constantly on. There doesn't seem to be much that I've been able to find in terms of support or resources for folks with progressive conditions like I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of lost the plot, I think, in terms of what else was being discussed here. I maybe had something else to say.
That's okay. Thank you, Ken. All right, Jaisa.
Okay, yeah, no, this is a great opportunity for everybody to get to know each other and hear where we're coming from. So I thank everyone for sharing. So not only are thoughts fleeting, thoughts are like the weather, come and go, but the same with our emotions. Our emotions come and go. Emotions are not permanent. I don't know if anybody has heard of I'm running a blank. Her last name is Boyle, but Susan Boyle. Yeah, she wrote the book Stroke of Insight. My Stroke of Insight. And in that book, she refers to a research study by Dr. Shapiro, whose research has shown that our emotions actually only last 90 seconds. So at the point of when your emotions arise, let's say there's a stimulus, something stresses us out or makes us angry or scared, the hormones arise in our body, and it takes only 90 seconds for the resolution of those hormones and for the body to return to balance and homeostasis. And if we look at children, just look at toddlers who play, who get into arguments and fight. Probably 90 seconds later, they're playing again and laughing. So why doesn't it feel so fleeting with us adults? It's because we hold on to the thoughts. And because we hold on to the situation or event with our minds, then the emotions which are connected to our thoughts will continue. And of course, emotions don't come without sensations and affecting our body and how we feel. So I'm just gonna let that resonate and welcome people to comment on the fact that our emotions really are so fleeting, 90 seconds. And what does that mean when we're feeling an emotion for hours and hours? Is there a possibility that maybe we are holding on, not letting go of our judgment, thoughts and perceptions of an event, thus the emotions and the sensations come with it persist? So there is what's coming up for me here is one of the foundational attitudes of mindfulness is the practice of letting go, which children do very well. And I just will open the floor if anyone has anything to say, no obligations.
You can either raise your hand if you want to say something or type something in to the box. One question. Oh, Sarah's got, hold on. Sarah, you're up.
Yes, I am 66 years old, and it's taken me till this year to realize that emotions only last 90 seconds. And so it's a huge relief because I can get frustrated or angry or whatever it is. And if I act on that right away, that I will be setting up all kinds of reactions to me. And if I don't act on it right away, if I just wait 90 seconds, it's gone. I mean, it is really funny because I did react all my life to feelings that happened. And now I can see that they go in 90 seconds and, 1 minute I feel this way, 1 minute I feel that way, and I can just watch it.
That's great. One
Thank you.
Sort of question that I had, I guess, for you, Jaisa, is that, well, actually two, is that, as children, a lot of us have learned stereotypically how to deal with emotions. So for men, maybe it's not, good, or you're, taught that you're weak if you express emotions. And then if you're a woman, maybe crying is a little more accepted, but sometimes we can use it as a tool to get what we want, right? So I have a really hard time not beating myself up about having certain emotions and knowing that they're real or not real. Like, is this truly, am I being hormonal, or am I, what is real? What is the realistic situation that I'm in right now? And should I be actually feeling as bad as I feel? Does that make sense?
Yes. That resonates with me, and I'm sure maybe some other people on this call, this confusion of how should I feel? I don't know how to feel. And this confusion over what I should feel, should I or shouldn't I not feel this way, comes from so much, shall I say, it's judgment. Whether the judgment, and it's in the expectations, judgmental expectations, whether it's cultural, societal, religious, so many factors as to you should not feel the way you feel. And so when there's all of this shoulding, I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't be sad, you shouldn't, you don't deserve to be happy, or I feel guilty about being joyful, or I shouldn't be upset, I should just be grateful. All these should, all this judging leads us to this point of confusion where we don't know what we should be feeling. So that's where mindfulness comes in, is mindfulness helps us to put the welcome mat. Till this day, I always envision a welcome mat. I put the welcome mat on the floor and I give myself the freedom to feel how I'm feeling, because human beings are meant to feel the whole spectrum of human emotions. There is actually no wrong or right emotion to feel. We are allowed to be angry. We are allowed to be sad. We are allowed to grieve. We're allowed to be afraid. We're allowed to feel weak. And just as much as we're allowed to have peace, joy, happiness. So this whole spectrum is welcomed in our mindful awareness. And especially when we know that emotions are not permanent, you're allowed to be angry for 5 minutes. I'm allowed to be sad for 90 seconds. We're allowed to, and knowing that feelings are fleeting gives us this freedom to at least feel it, because when we repress our emotions, and there is a learned repression, a suppression of emotions in our culture, in many cultures, And what ends up happening is not only do we start putting on masks because of how we should feel, but emotion is energy in motion, right? The energy, it's life force energy. In India and yoga they call it prana, in China they call it chi. But emotions have an energy that are meant to be expressed. And when we repress our emotions, that energy stays stagnant in our bodies and it contributes to fatigue and more pain. Emotions are meant to be free. We should, when we practice mindfulness, so let's say if we all take, 1 minute right now, and let's take this moment to put the welcome mat out for you to feel how you're feeling. So I invite everybody, ask yourself, how am I feeling? So really ask myself, how am I feeling? And put a welcome mat out for yourself to feel free to feel how you're feeling. And you might have a mix of emotions. Maybe you're annoyed, maybe you're inspired, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're stressed, maybe you're grateful. Whatever you're feeling, put it all out on the welcome mat and welcome it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's a painful emotion that doesn't feel good. We welcome it all here. And there's one gentleman who is looking forward to accepting pain. Accepting things, even our emotions, doesn't mean we have to like it. Acceptance simply means acknowledging the reality of what is here. So whatever you're feeling right now, let's just acknowledge the reality that this is what I'm feeling right now. And with the next several breaths, as you inhale and exhaling with the intention to accept how you're feeling without judgment. There is no right or wrong way to feel. So if your mind has wandered off to a thought, notice where your mind has wandered. Again, it's natural for the mind to wander. Then you can bring your attention back to acknowledging your body, how it's feeling and how it's breathing, and what emotions are here. And just holding this compassionate, kind, curious awareness for yourself. Holding yourself in your own accepting awareness, allowing yourself to feel how you're feeling. Even if it's not pleasant, we can accept, or in other words, acknowledge the reality of what is here right now, not for the whole day, not forever, just what's here right now. Because everything from our thoughts and our emotions and our sensations come and go and fleet. So let's meet what's here before it fleets. Taking a few more breaths, choosing to pay attention to the moment with acceptance, curiosity, and trust in our innate human ability to be aware, because being aware is innate in all humans. It just requires practice if it's something that we haven't worked out like a muscle. So a few more breaths, putting the welcome mat out for your feelings, for yourself, meeting yourself with an open heart and an open mind. Okay, and at this time, I'd like to welcome some feedback on any insights anybody wants to share, suggestions, comments, or concerns.
I am gonna unmute Ken because it looks like you have something written there. So.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say what I've written. I'm just sorting out my pills for this morning. I didn't remember to do that earlier. In terms of mindfulness, I suppose that's important. Anyway, you were just talking about intention to accept without judgment, and I'm wondering about how is that accepting different from will to change things? And I'm thinking that perhaps you're talking about present moment, as we said, emotions or emotion, whatever, a fleeting thing, whereas maybe what I'm talking about is more a long-term desire. Did you understand what I'm
Thank you so much. I think so, and thank you for that, because I think so acceptance plays a role in us changing things. Acceptance plays a role in us getting somewhere where we want to be. And how is that? Let's say right now, let's say I have pain in my feet. So usually I resist it, right? Like, oh, this sucks. And I just get caught in thoughts because I don't want to accept the pain in my foot. In coming into the moment and accepting awareness, which is simply acknowledging what's here is here. I don't have to like it, but I acknowledge there's this, 5 out of 10 sharp pain in my ankle radiating. Okay, it's a little bit more on the inside of my left foot. And oh, it's because I wasn't wearing my ankle braces. Oh, it's because I didn't rest today. Or oh, it's because I ate this. Oh, so okay, so now moving forward, I know that I'm going to have to maybe rest a little bit longer today, or maybe drive instead of walking to where I'm going, or I'm going to have to, see my physio to make sure I'm doing the right exercises. So accepting doesn't mean I'm resigning to this pain and accepting it for the rest of my life. Accepting allows me the time and space to gather all the information that is here in this moment so that I can move forward with more wisdom, more data that I've collected. You can only collect data in the moment. And with this data I've collected of the moment, then I'm in a better position to affect the change I want to make in the future towards, being in less pain. So that's where accepting comes in. Accepting, really, I'm only accepting, it helps me to get to my future goal. Because striving for future goals without acceptance, there's no balance. There's always a little bit of that, I want to be able to run again, or I want to be able to be pain-free. If we're always focusing on the goal, then we're never, ever accepting where we are now. So acceptance just brings more of a balance to meeting ourselves where we are on our way to striving for our goals. So there's more balance, more peace wherever we are in our journey. Because there's always going to be goals. There's always going to be something we want to get to.
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Any feedback on that?
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Hold on. So my question was, when you are feeling the emotion in mindfulness, do you set a time limit on it? So do you allow yourself to feel sad for a certain period of time? How do you recommend that? Because let's say I'm feeling a bit depressed. You sort of don't want it to go on and on and on, right? You kind of want to get over it at some point in time.
Yeah. So at the end of every mindful practice, so whether let's say it's a 5-minute meditation, a 10-minute yoga, or a mindful meal, or you just as you're driving and you've checked in, there's at the end of every mindful moment, there's always a moving forward with compassion. What do I need? How can I take care of myself? So mindfulness alone is not enough. Mindfulness is just a way for us to see what we need so we can move forward, respond to ourselves and life in a way that helps us to whatever it is, whatever's needed. So it's moving forward with compassion to help ourselves so we can have better care for ourselves, so we can be better for others as well. So there's, instead of putting that time limit on the depression, because I find that mindfulness is about being patient. So it's not about getting rid of the depression. It's about being with it right now. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. How can I move forward now to take care of myself? And there is that hope that in the future, as I continue to meet myself as I am, growing my awareness, moving forward with compassion, that we'll start to discover what's beyond the depression. Because as we grow with awareness, you're like a bird going further up, getting a bigger bird's eye view. So with patience and practice, as we continue to get this bird's eye view of ourselves, and the depression doesn't become so overwhelming in our lives, and we start to become aware of other things in our lives. But as we welcome the depression as opposed to resisting it, we start to learn from it and see what is there to be learned.
Thank you. Does anyone else have comment or any hands raised? So you can, Karen, and people are starting to type. Peter, yes, the answer is yes. Karen, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay. Yeah, so I'd like to expand on that a little bit because I liked Terry's question because I have used that a bit. And although depression may be one of the harder ones to put a time frame on, because of course it would probably depend on the level of that. But being down or being sad or dealing with things, I have in the past used a time frame like you get 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes to put all your energy into what this is and what's going on, which I'm assuming then is accepting it and kind of dealing with it. But then putting that time frame lets you then kind of almost change the perception on it and move on. So is that bad? Because I have found that quite helpful, actually.
Thank you so much for that. I don't think that's bad at all. That kind of reminds me of what somebody else mentioned earlier, where, you know, with awareness, we can see, okay, this is where I am at right now. And then taking the opportunity to rebalance that thought or emotion with something that balances it out. So whether it's, okay, I'm giving myself this time, and as you said, okay, now I'm going to balance out this emotion with something else. I'm going to do something that makes me feel good. I'm going to, so there, that's how we respond, right? You can give yourself the time limit, but at one point you're going to take a moment to respond with compassion. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Maybe it is to focus on a positive mantra or do an activity that makes me feel good and to just be in the present moment. So we're balancing out that depression. But I appreciate that, because I think it is giving ourselves a time limit is kind of creating that safe space of non-judgment to just feel what we're feeling.
Mm-hmm. Tom had a comment. I don't know if I can, Tom, can I hear you now? Okay, we can hear you.
Thank you. By the time I type something in, we've wandered off to something different. So I just got a comment from Karen that said, what was it now? Is putting a time limit on a feeling not a good way to move on? That sounds more like denial than it is anything else. I think, all pain is basically, as I wrote down here, is either accepted by medication or distraction. We either find something to take our minds off it, or our wonderful medical system provides us with alternate forms to try to take away the pain. I don't know. I don't really have a belief in that there's a place in the back of our minds that we can just put the pain completely out of our livelihoods, for lack of better terms. That it's there all the time, 24/7. And I think people become depressed. It's because of the fact that it is so ongoing. If it was Tuesday or something like this, it can be remedied, it will go away. But the way we, most of us, are dealing with this ongoing neuropathic pains of some sort, every time you turn around, it's there. And as soon as you're no longer distracted, it's in your face, right? That's what I'm not catching on to what's being said. How can you zen out these things? When it's possible.
Mm-hmm. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that because distraction is actually probably one of the most common ways people cope with depression and pain. And so something that's coming up for me right now is something that one of my mindfulness teachers said when we practice mindfulness, is that when you're bringing awareness to yourself, whether it's your body and your mind or both, it is up to you to how deep, how fast you go in. Are you going to just jump into the ocean, dive into the awareness, or do you just dip your toe into the water, or put your foot in, or maybe one leg at a time? And when I say the water would be your awareness, being with whatever it is. So let's say it's being with depression. So for some people, it might be just dipping my toe into the water and being with my depression and observing with curiosity, where do I feel it? How does my body feel? What thoughts are coming with these feelings and these sensations? And then 10 minutes might be enough. For other people, they might want to put their whole body in for 5 minutes. So this is something that everyone will know for themselves, how much they want to delve into being with and observing their depression and thoughts and beliefs and sensations and emotions and the stories that are in our bodies that come with depression. It's something that is different for everybody, but always done with compassion. And with compassion, you will each know, how much time am I going to give to myself, whether it's 5 minutes or this whole week or this whole month. It's going to vary for everybody's where they are in their journey. But I appreciate the acknowledgement that, you know, we want to be aware when we are distracting ourselves from what we really would benefit from facing.
I can share my own experience. I don't know how much mindfulness is, but you know, I can't totally relate to Tom. I do understand, because I know a lot of people that experience chronic pain ongoing, right? I get pain with food. So when I eat, and I'm trying to work that out for myself, the biggest thing that actually helps me feel better is if I can just lie down, put my hands on my tummy where I feel the pain, and kind of feel like I focus all my attention on it. And I know it sounds really silly, but I don't know why it seems to just be able to work for me, as if I just sort of really focus my attention outside of everything else is happening and put all my attention into that pain. It seems to disappear somewhat. Not disappear, but change. The feeling changes. I don't sleep. I can't sleep when I'm in pain, Tom, just so you know. He said, I call that sleep. No, anyways, that's just my experience. And it, you know, it's not going to work for obviously everybody. Everyone is going to have their own way of, you know, I guess being with in what moment in that feeling. I guess is what you're saying, Jaisa. Like it's going to look different kind of for everybody. Maybe it is a bit meditative where you're outside in wilderness, or you're, you know, for me, I need to be like kind of laying down and have a full body relax. Like if I'm sitting up in my wheelchair, I'm uncomfortable all the time. So I need to put my body in a comfortable position to just be able to be fully mindful, I guess. And if I'm sitting up, then I'm mindful on the parts of my body that are uncomfortable. Is that kind of mindfulness, Jaisa?
It definitely is. That is mindfulness. Yeah. Thank you for that example. It's nice to have, you know, people's examples of mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does look different for everybody, but it's that sense of it's really being with.
Both Ken and Karen had something to say. Did you want to move on before I get to them, or should I get to them first?
No, let's hear what I'd love to hear.
Okay, I'm going to go to Ken. Ken, you're up.
All right, that's cool. I'm just going to read again, I think, from the notes that I just typed, because not everybody can see them, but I've done some mindfulness training at our local rec center, and it's been really good, and really good to have that happening with a group of people that I can then run into in my community ongoing or whatever. So it's not such a totally solo experience, but for me, I began to notice in my body ongoing pain, tension, and I was holding my breath, like anticipating pain every time I was going to take a movement or try to stand up or whatever. And the mindfulness thing has helped me to find a way to connect, to pay attention to those feelings, and that then opens up the availability of exploring more long-term responses. I guess I'm sort of partially responding to Tom.
Thank you, Ken.
Yes, I just want to real quickly acknowledge the use of the word response. And response is different from reacting. And the only difference between reacting and responding is done with awareness, where reacting is done on autopilot. So it's in our responses that we can affect healthy change. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then Karen.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to comment that I don't think it's denial, but what I meant by that is that changing perspective, having the time frame to live with it or do or put a time frame on it, and then move on and choosing, because I think, as you said in the beginning, there's a lot of choice in this. There's a lot of choice in this, in the mind process. So it doesn't remove the pain, or if it's depression or whatever's going on with you. But then when you've gone on with your day, or you're a different part of your day, even with the pain or anything else that's going on, you can say, you can be more present with what else is going on around you. So if you're going for a walk, you're like, oh, this is a beautiful day. You know, it doesn't negate the fact that you have the pain or the depression, but it certainly changes that perspective for a time. That's all I meant by that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all I have for now. Jaisa, do you want to move forward?
Yes, we'll move forward. So, all right. So how do we cultivate mindfulness? Well, practice. And there's two types of practice, formal and informal. Where formal, they call it formal because we're actually formally taking time out of our day to do it, whether it's 3 breaths, 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 30 minutes. It could be meditation or yoga or a walking meditation, anything where you're formally taking time out of your day to bring accepting, non-judgmental awareness to the moment. Whereas informal practice, you're not taking any time out of your day. Instead, we're bringing non-judgmental attention to whatever you're doing, whether you're eating, brushing your teeth, listening to an online workshop such as this, or brushing your teeth, washing the dishes as here. And so it's important that we do both, because you can think of the formal practice as taking the time to do your exercises, you know, whether it's your physio exercises or going to the gym, working out. That's formal. You're taking time out of your day. But the informal practice is, well, are we engaging our muscles? Are we engaging our core throughout the day and doing what we practice in the gym outside of the gym? So those are the two. And then what I love about informal practice is it really means we don't have an excuse to say, I don't have time to practice mindfulness, because you don't have to take time out of your day to do the informal practice. So with that being said, we are going to do a formal practice right now. And I'm going to guide everybody in a short practice, about 10 minutes, where we'll get to practice together this being in the moment mindfully. So it's helpful to get into a posture where you will feel not only comfortable but alert. So we don't want to get too comfortable where we'll fall asleep, because when we're asleep we can't cultivate awareness. So I'll give you a moment right now to just establish a posture where you won't fall asleep, but you're also quite comfortable. And I invite you now to set an intention, again, because mindfulness is an on-purpose requiring choice. So we'll set the intention to bring mindfulness. So in other words, non-judgmental, curious, beginner's mind, the eyes of a child with fresh eyes, or a scientist who's curious to see something unfold in the next moment. That's beginner's mind. Also, we're bringing open, kind, friendly, accepting awareness to whatever arises, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. We're going to put the welcome mat out for the moment to be as it is, whether we like it, for the next several minutes. So now that that intention is set, I invite you to notice how your body feels. Maybe asking yourself, how do I feel right now? Maybe some of you are tired. Maybe there's some sense of fatigue. Or maybe some people might feel energetic, jittery. Just taking a moment to allow yourself to feel how you're feeling without judgment. So creating an accepting space for yourself to feel how you're feeling. And we're going to bring our awareness to the breath. So we're not trying to change the breath. We're not trying to breathe a certain way. We're just meeting the breath with curiosity as it is. Noticing the inhale and the exhale. For some of you, maybe you feel it in your nose, one nostril or both. Maybe you feel it in your throat. For others, maybe in your chest or your belly or your back. And there is no wrong way to breathe. And if you notice your mind is thinking, acknowledging it's normal for the mind to think, acknowledging what is on the mind, and coming back to the breath, because mindfulness also involves a practice in being able to let go and return. So if your mind has wandered off, let's return to the breath wherever you feel it most easily. And notice how the inhale transitions into an exhale, which then transitions back to an inhale. So it's a continuous flow. So for the next few moments, let's feel the flow of the breath with curiosity, meeting the breath as if for the first time. Beginner's mind. And notice how the inhale is always new. And notice how the exhale, once exhaled, gone forever. So every breath really is always the first time. So we really can bring beginner's mind, curiosity, to the inhale and exhale. And observing, does your breath occur in the past or the future? Or is it always occurring in the now? Your inhale, occurring now. Your exhale, also occurring now. And that's why all across the world, the breath is the most popular tool. It's the most popular anchor that we use to anchor our mind to the present. So if your mind has wandered off to something else, acknowledging that's normal, and choosing, if you wish, to return to the anchor, the breath. Mindfulness is not about not thinking, it's being aware when we're thinking. And the breath is a great way to rest in awareness, to keep coming back to. And notice how you can trust in the breath. As long as we're alive, we can trust that the breath is always there like a loyal friend for us to come back to and rest our mind in awareness in the moment. If the breath is shallow, it's shallow. If the breath is short, it's short. If it's deep, it's deep. With non-judgment and acceptance, we're meeting the breath as it is, however it is. Meditation is not about focusing on the breath, it's about refocusing. And so if the mind wanders off 100 times, we simply return to the breath 100 times. No judgment. And I invite you now to expand your awareness to scan your lower body. So bringing this curious, accepting, non-judgmental awareness to both feet, the left foot and the right foot, the lower leg on the left side and the right side, both knees and both thighs. So we're bringing curiosity to our lower extremities. For some of us, maybe there's some pain and tightness. For some of us, maybe there's no sensation. Maybe there's numbness. Whatever you're experiencing in this moment, we're experiencing with curiosity and acceptance. What is this experience of no sensation like? What thoughts are here? What emotions are here? What is this experience of sensations arising? Holding in awareness, not just the feeling in your lower legs, but any thoughts that come up. We're also bringing awareness to our mind. And then moving our attention to our torso, the front of your torso, your entire back, lower back, mid back, upper back, your belly and your chest. With curiosity and acceptance, acknowledging what sensations are here right now. Maybe there's sensation of digestion, Maybe there's sensation of the breath or the heart beating. Maybe there's sensation of discomfort, sensation you may consider unpleasant, in particular in the back for some of us. And can we put the welcome mat out for our body to feel what it's feeling? Practicing this, acknowledging the reality of what is here. For mindfulness and acceptance doesn't mean we are resigning to this, giving up. Acceptance means acknowledging the reality that this is here right now, not forever, but right now, this is what is here. So we're just meeting this moment and this moment. And if you notice your mind has wandered to a thought, acknowledging that it's natural for the mind to wander and noticing where the mind has wandered, perhaps future or past, or maybe a thought of the present. And choosing, if you wish, to bring your attention back to the feeling of your body breathing in and out. Expanding your awareness of the body to include not just your legs and your torso, but both arms now, upper arms, elbows, lower arms and hands. Maybe there's sensation of tightness, numbness, temperature, or no sensation at all. Whatever your experiences of the arms right now, can we bring curious acceptance? Being with ourselves as we are, being with the arms as they are in this moment. If the mind has wandered to a thought, you can choose to bring your mind back to the arms. And then right now to bring your attention to your neck, the front of your throat, the back of your neck, circling your neck with this accepting, curious attention, including now your face, the skin on your face, chin, lips, teeth, tongue, cheeks, nose, eyes, eyebrows, forehead, temples, your entire face, and including your ears. What sensations can you observe here, meeting them as they are? Acknowledging any thoughts when they arise, we're just bringing awareness to them with acceptance. Coming back to the face and the head, and including now in your awareness, your entire scalp, your skull, the top of your head, the back of your head, the sides, your entire head now. Maybe there's sensations of your hair on your head or your glasses or the touch of air on your head. What sensations are here? Bringing beginner's mind, fresh eyes. And now we will expand our awareness to the whole body. From the top of your head down to your feet, from your shoulders to your fingertips, the front of your body, the back of your body, the left side, the right side. Meeting your body as if you're meeting it for the first time, because it actually is the first time. Our cells regenerating. This is a new body from what it was last week, so we can bring fresh eyes to this body. Meeting the inhale and the exhale with fresh eyes. Noticing how the breathing body and your awareness of it is always happening in the present moment. If the mind has wandered to something else, a thought or a sound, just notice where the mind is. We're bringing awareness of curiosity and acceptance to the mind as well. And choosing, if you wish, to bring your attention back to the body. The first thing we do when we're born is take an inhale. And the last thing we will do when we die is take an exhale. And yet between our birth and death, this inhale and exhale often go unacknowledged. So for the next minute, let's acknowledge this inhale and this exhale. Acknowledging the inhale is also called inspiration. We are inspiring a new moment, inspiring fresh air, inspiring oxygen, and inspiring life force energy. And the exhale, often called expiration, it is the expiring of that which we no longer need, the expiring of that breath, of that last moment. So there is a letting go with the exhale. Letting go of toxins such as carbon dioxide and turbid energies. So this inhale and exhale, a wonderful process of nourishing and detoxifying. And notice how this breath is free. It is a medicine for body and mind, a free pill that does not require insurance benefits, no side effects, and no possibility of overdosing. We can live for days without food, a couple of days without water, but we can't live long without the breath. So this is actually an easy way to practice self-care, to meet ourselves in moments of pain, physical pain and emotional pain. This is a way to meet ourselves with compassion. So I invite you now to ask yourself, how am I feeling physically and emotionally? And putting that welcome mat out for yourself, creating this space for yourself to be as you are without judgment and instead acceptance and kindness, curiosity, and trust in your innate ability to be aware as a human. Meeting ourselves as we are. In the midst of striving for our goals, we can bring balance to our lives by taking a few moments to meet ourselves as we are without the need to change. And as we come to the end of this meditation, perhaps setting an intention to come back to this breath within you, this free resource, this free tool, anytime throughout the day, especially when you need a moment of compassion for yourself. And I will now open the floor for people to share their insights or observations, questions. We have about 10 minutes left for sharing before we close.
Tom, did you want to share your thoughts?
But on what we just did, no. Honest, I said a little bit about that. Basically, I taught for almost 35 years, just short of 35, and I coached every year, so I put off several teams, in particular archery. And we use this even at the national level for focusing, space and concentration, breathing, stance, everything on hitting the target. And I can't remember exactly what it was. I was trying to trying to meditate and which you couldn't do, and also type. I think I look at the pain situation that we're experiencing is in relation to archery and trying to have a person focus all their stance, their breathing, their holding the equipment, and then getting it all right and having somebody poke you in the eye and put you right back here. There's reality. And I find that's extremely, it's an easy thing to say, you know, zen out and meditate, but it's a fleeting moment. You cannot run away from what's there all the time. Am I coming clear, or am I walking in circles here?
No, I think it's good that you're sharing your perspective. And Jaisa, do you want to comment?
It was cutting out. It was cutting out, so I couldn't get everything there, unfortunately.
Well, I'll read out what he wrote, and then basically it's kind of what he said anyways. But he said it sounds like focus, something that he's used in archery. Focus, breathing, stance, limbs, etc. All the little yellow spot and delivery of the arrow to that target. Pain would be like being poked in the eye while one tries to focus. Focus is fleeting, but pain is a constant that brings you back to the now, right? And I think it's just a matter of sort of practicing all the time, right? And just having a moment. I don't know, Jaisa.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for explaining. So it's interesting, how what we're doing is we're exercising our muscle of awareness. And the more we practice awareness, we're creating more nerves in not just our brain, but in our spinal cord and our peripheral nervous system to be more aware. And awareness can be as focused as I'm just paying attention to the breath in my left nostril, but awareness can also be as broad as being aware of my whole body and everything around me, what I'm seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting. But in order to be able to expand our awareness so that we're not just overwhelmed by that constant pain that is always there, that constant pain that is always there becomes smaller and smaller when we are able to pay attention to more and more things, right? So when we expand our awareness, everything in our awareness gets smaller, right? So it's kind of like the drop of ink. So a drop of ink is the pain. But if we're only paying attention to the drop of ink, then it's overwhelming. But you expand your awareness, you put that drop of ink in a jar, it's not as bad. But then you keep expanding your awareness so we are able to pay attention to more and more things, not just one part of our body, but our whole body and everything around us. Then now we've made that jar of water the bathtub. But that drop of ink is still there. That drop of ink is that pain that might be there all the time. But because we've expanded our awareness to be able to pay attention to more and more things, then that drop of ink doesn't seem so overwhelming when it's in that bathtub. And the more we expand our awareness, then that bathtub can become like the ocean. But we still need to always practice this focusing, because the more we're able to pay attention to this one we want, that one I want, not this one I don't want, not that one I don't want, then we can discover more things in our environment internally and externally. So that's the role of focusing. We can focus, but at the end it's expanding our ability to be aware of more and more things so that the little moments of pain, those sensations or emotions aren't the only thing in our awareness, but just one of everything else that's in our awareness.
Thank you. That's really great. I'm going to kind of put everybody on the spot, so I give everyone an opportunity. So Karen.
And Terry, if you can give me just 3 minutes in the end to wrap up.
Okay, sure. Karen, anything to comment or add?
No, I'm good, T.
Okay. Sandy?
I'm fine.
Okay, great. Roderick?
Yeah, I guess all I'd say is thanks. I think you've given me some recognition of some tools that I think that can be useful for me. So thank you.
Thank you. Michael, any comments?
I keep getting distracted. Speaking of mindfulness, I got too much going on. I'm sorry, but your message was very good.
Thank you. That's very honest and appreciative. Michelle, I don't know if we can hear you now, but if you have anything, you could type it in for us and I can read it. Maureen?
I thought it was a wonderful. I did have some distractions myself, but got lots out of this, and that little practice was just brought me back to that beautiful, spacious, open, calm that's, I have to say, I'm fairly attracted to.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Peter, TJ? Hi.
No, I don't really have anything to add, but wanted to say thank you. It was, I really appreciate the time you've given to this.
Thank you. Ken?
No, nothing specific to add either. I think this has been good, including the discussion and including the skepticism and the questions. I'm totally open to all that stuff because I've got that too going on full time most of the time. I think it's all good. Thanks for the reminder and the opportunity to just check in with my body while we've been sitting here.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Who do I have next here? Sarah?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, yeah. Just a simple thing, which was, first of all, thank you very much for doing this. It was incredibly valuable to me. And I have heard this before and heard it again, and I have heard it again, and I've heard it again. But just to refocus on my breath whenever I'm lost is just a real gift to me. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Sarah. Kim?
I'm sorry, I ended up getting an important phone call, so I had to leave. I was really looking forward to practicing some of the tools that were outlined earlier, and really wanted to thank you for taking the time to do this. I've been looking at signing up for some programs at the local community and rec center, so this was a much better introduction into taking it to the next level. And great tools, and hopefully I will start practicing this more often. Get more sleep.
Awesome, thank you. And Brandy, any comments at all? I don't know if we can hear. Brandy, if you're talking, I can't hear you, so you'll have to type something in. Just a couple comments. Karen wanted to add, thank you for reminding me that it is a choice. Michelle says, was great. I find I would drop off, then regroup. Thank you. From Tom, I appreciate your time with us and your efforts to create this time. Goodbye for now. And Ken said, dipping in and dipping out, following the flow. Thanks, Tom. And there you go. You got exactly the last 3 minutes, Jaisa.
Oh, look at that. Okay. So what I'm going to do, there's benefits. What I'll do is I'll just send, I don't know if you can see on my screen here as I'm moving, but I've got all of these documents. I'm going to forward all 4 of them to Terry. One of the documents has a list of the various apps on the phone you can download. Another one is the how to get started with your own practice. This other one here are several online resources. And then the final one here are the benefits of mindfulness. So I will forward those to you, Terry. And moving on to the final slides here, I just want to end with 2 quotes. This one is from Viktor Frankl, survivor of the Holocaust, and he says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And so that space we create even with just one breath, one inhale, one exhale. And finally, some wisdom from Calvin and Hobbes. And for those who can't see this, we're so busy watching out for what's just ahead of us that we don't take time to enjoy where we are. And so with that, Terry, I'll welcome you to share any final thoughts to wrap this up.
Yeah, I think that's a really great end. I think most of us can probably appreciate that we're not always living just in the moment, and even just creating a little bit of space to appreciate that moment that we're in. And I think it's just a really helpful reminder. And thank you, Jaisa, so much. I really appreciate you spending your time with us today. I know that everybody also, I'm sure, agrees. There's lots of clapping and nodding of heads and whatever. And thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. Really appreciated seeing everybody. If anyone has one last little comment that they'd like to share, please, you can raise your hand. I can see everybody on my screen right now. So if not, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Again, thank you, Jaisa. And I'm going to probably reach out to all of you just to get some feedback. And thank you so much. Love seeing you guys. Catch you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.